Hello, my name is Jennifer Thomas, and I am just finishing a semester in Chicano Studies. Chicano Studies was a really interesting class for me because it wasn't something I thought I'd ever take. I mean, you look at the lists of classes and you go, oh, that doesn't sound like me, but it was a really different experience. A lot of the things we talked about in that class were social movements of Chicanos and how far they've come and how far, they still have yet to go. And we're supposed to compare and contrast a social movement that we feel an affinity to from both the past and present. I am a very nonviolent person. I don't like violence. I don't like war. I think it could all be avoided. So something I thought, was very interesting, I've always thought interesting, is the African American civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. They did everything nonviolently, peaceful protests, boycotts, and such. And I thought that would be a good one. This is a picture, actually, of the March on Washington, Martin Luther King speaking, and lots of people coming out to see him. Now, sort of recently, in 2006, there was marches in Chicago and a lot of other places for immigration reform. And this is a picture of one of their marches, and it looks pretty similar. I mean, you've got the signs, you've got the people, there are no, riots or, any kind of violence. And I thought that was kind of interesting that, 50s and 60s, it's 50, 60 years ago, and yet their methods are still working today. And you can do it without violence, and you can do it without any kind of violent activity. So the next question that we have to address is a particular issue or topic relating to Latino identity. Being honest, I am, unfortunately, no kind of relation to any kind of Latino or Chicano or any kind of that. I'm strictly European. But for me, I noticed, for me specifically, that something I noticed for me was the difference between Latino and Chicano. My family has always said things like Hispanic, and I thought that was the term, but it's not. And a lot of people don't understand that terms kind of range between who's from where, and you could call someone like Hispanic and they might take offense because they're not from that area. They could be someone else. They could be from Ecuador or Puerto Rico or somewhere else, and they have their own terms, and it's almost insulting to generalize. So for them, like Latino identity, people like me, white people, need to be more aware that there are so many different kinds, and you can't generalize like that. That's like calling me Scandinavian, and I'm not at all. So I think we really need to learn that. And then for me, my own identity. Taking this class was awkward at first because I didn't feel like I had any right to say anything when you're talking about Chicano movements and talking about oppression and things. I've never felt that, and it was awkward at first. But then through, the class of Chicano Studies, and I'm also in Casa Sol, it didn't matter after a while. I got to know the people in the class, and I found out, no, it doesn't matter that all of a sudden I was the minority, and it didn't matter to them. And I think more people need to have the experience of things like Chicano Studies, because we're not all that different. Even though, you might be raised completely oblivious to race, and you've still got those tendencies, and it's sad. For me, my white identity development is in a different place than it was. I was in the stage where, I wasn't really sure what to think. I didn't think I was any kind of judgmental towards race, but apparently I was totally wrong. But now, it doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter what you look like, or anything. For me, it's just about who you get to know. And I have friends in that class that I probably never would have met if I hadn't have taken it. I know I'm in a better place in my identity development. I'm on my road to, it doesn't matter what race you are, and I need to open other people's eyes. And white privilege? Pfft, that's bogus. If more people were aware of that, they'd stop and think and go, huh, that's not fair. We should fix that. But for me, this class was a lot of fun. And I think more people should take something like it. And I hope to take something like it in the future. So take Chicano Studies. Thanks.